want me to cockpit? How much does this thing cost?
What?
The economics of the future is somewhat different. You see, money doesn't exist in the 24th century.
No money. I mean, you don't get paid.
The acquisition of wealth is no longer the driving force in our lives. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity. Actually, we're rather like yourself and Dr. Cochrane.
And the trepidation was because of the robot zombies, but that's neither here nor there. If you're focusing on the concepts he was talking about, that somehow humanity evolves past money, that's, you know, the first time I heard that, that sounded a bit like communism, but that's the thing. So my dad and I actually had an argument about this after we saw that movie. So you're telling me that eventually human nature just improves on its own to the point where communism works, everybody gets up and works, then just on the assumption that they're going to be fed? Well, we can talk about communism, collectivism, socialism, basically, you know, giving some money to some people, taking it from somebody else, versus free markets and whether one can exist or the other can't. But that's actually not relevant to the concept of post-scarcity, because scarcity is the basis of all economics. I never really liked the definition of economics that I've heard growing up. I tried to simplify it to the point where I said economics is essentially, you know, the study of survival. And what's the first definition that's highlighted in bold black letters that you have to write in your notebooks? And let's say the first week of class you're going into your high school or your college economics class. What's the first definition you write in? Scarcity. Scarcity is the simple fact that resources are limited, that there is not an unlimited supply of the stuff you want or the stuff you need. Post-scarcity is a claim that humanity can advance, humanity's too liquid a term, that people can advance past that. It is the single most positive possible outcome for humans to reach. Star Trek, which was the franchise you just saw a clip from, if you couldn't tell, Star Trek is the most optimistic science fiction story about humans' future. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it until the J.J. Abrams movies came out, because there weren't nearly enough explosions. They didn't solve enough things by violence, that's why nobody went to see them. In Star Trek, because there's post-scarcity, because there are these machines that can literally make anything you want out of pure energy, the old arguments of economics no longer apply. Whether to take from somebody and give to somebody else, whether to allow people to manage their stuff on their own, completely irrelevant, because now, with the necessary technology that somebody came up with, people don't have to work anymore. The only people who do work are the ones who get up that day and say, "Today I will work." That poses some questions about what will happen to human nature when and if post-scarcity ever exists. We'll get to that later. First, I think we should go over whether post-scarcity is really possible, because here's the thing. I thought it was absurd. I thought it was absurd that, within the realm of possibility, once a cornucopia machine, as Eclipse Phase, another science fiction story, put it, is invented, then post-scarcity makes perfect sense. But who's going to invent a cornucopia machine? It would be impractical. But there are, I believe, some tech out there now and some technological advancements that when you put the right, mix them together so that they sort of work in such a way that they're not only working together, but that this tech is actually attractive to ordinary consumers, we can reach something close to it so that we have a sort of practical post-scarcity where basically in an ideal world some centuries from now, every person on the planet has the option of opting out of the economy entirely. And so what are people's needs? Well, food, water, shelter, electricity for air conditioning and entertainment. That's all actually possible. I might have said earlier that post-scarcity is the douchiest way to put it because it goes by other names that people recognize. Self-sustaining homes, going off the grid, stuff like that. But what I've noticed about people trying to go off the grid is that it's really expensive. It's not only expensive, but it's unattractive because, you know, there are some places these days that are actually out to punish you for going off the grid. Spain and actually Florida come to mind. Just from some basic news articles I've read. Spain's been cracking down on solar panel users, and in Florida there was this one woman who was actually forced to stay on the grid even though she produced enough power for herself and you know, collected rainwater. That's another thing. There are too many instances to count where people have been fined for collecting rainwater, and that's it's almost like our current power structure is sort of predicting that people are going to start going off the grid, and they'll realize that people will start buying less of what they have, and so they're fighting it now, sort of nipping it in the bud. Anyway, you can call post-scarcity self-sustaining, sort of like advanced subsistence economy. You can another good word I liked, permaculture, almost as douchey as post-scarcity, but has a nice ring to it. Permaculture had sort of teaches you this one site I saw that claimed to teach permaculture for free. You know, has some gardening tips, some solar panel installation tips, maybe even some water filtration tips. So post-scarcity I think will come a lot from that, the real post-scarcity that humans are willing to get to, because instant matter materializers, nobody's going to make that. It's just not practical to, I don't think. At least not yet. Not anywhere near yet. But water filtration, solar power, producing food. Producing food is something we here at the Houston Freethinkers already do in some small amount. But last year I heard someone promise that proof that I am grounded in reality.
Just watch the bridge.
Okay. Oh yeah. Last year I heard a member, I don't remember his name, said that once we get the infrastructure set up, the HFT garden can feed every person who had shown up to that meeting, and there were about 30 or 40 people there. I thought I silenced that. Oh. This is slightly faster. There we go. So that's something we already have. Clean water, I'm not sure if that's something we have, but that technology is readily available. Solar powers are interesting. Solar panels are already in existence, but the thing is, all of that stuff is made from, ultimately, if you look at it chemically, all that's materially, all that stuff is made from something that came out of a mine. And that mine was owned by somebody, and in order to get that stuff out of that mine and on top of your roof, you had to pay somebody who had to pay somebody who had to pay somebody who had to pay somebody. And that, I think, is why permaculture will always be fringe, because it's not easy, it's not convenient. The sort of ideal world of post-scarcity that I see is where all of our necessary technology to maintain, let's say, a good luxurious lifestyle, let's say everything in this room right now, air conditioning, lights, food, fridge, all the power you need to maintain a good above poverty lifestyle. I think that we're capable of doing that eventually with organic compounds. Now, when you're hearing the word organic, you're obviously thinking organic farming. But when I from now on through the rest of this, when I'm saying organic, I'm talking about the chemical definition. That literally means stuff that's made out of hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. So coal is organic, plastic is organic, oil is organic. I know you never thought to hear that and enjoy a speech that included those words. Silicon dioxide, sand, that doesn't count as organic, but it's abundant, and that's the important thing. Basically, stuff you can make out of the dirt with the right processes. And there are a couple conceptual chemical processes that I've looked up. I'm sure other people, when they actually show up, will look up that they've seen. One was there's this organic compound that can process wood into sugar, and it was funny because they actually advertised it as a way to make ethanol, which is literally whiskey. Ethanol is literally whiskey. Look it up. Ethanol is ethyl alcohol is the stuff that gets you drunk.